Coming up, we're talking about modifieds. I know, gasp. I've also got more full-time Xtreme Outlaw midget drivers and more. Let's go. Today is Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. Welcome into Dirt Tracker Daily. I'm Justin Fiedler. We're kind of in a lull right now in the dirt racing season. Florida and kind of Speed Weeks things are over. A lot of tracks are either just starting to open or won't open for another few weeks as things start to warm up into the spring. We'll have some weekend racing like we do coming up, but not much happening during the week. So because things are a little bit quiet, I want to take a minute to talk about modifieds. Now wait, before you go turn me off just yet, just give me a second here. The 2022 USMTS season opens this weekend, which is why I bring this up. I want to know where you stand on modifieds. I feel like there's always a lot of mod hate floating around. They're just a support division. They always crash, etc. But as a race fan, where are you personally? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Is this a situation where you're at a big sprint car show or a big late model show and the modifieds come out? Do you go get a beer or do you stay in the stands and watch? I'm just curious where you stand on all of this. For all intents and purposes, I feel like the USMTS should get more attention than it does. Their series champion in 2022 will take home $100,000. And a lot of those races pay $10,000 to win. In fact, nearly half the schedule does. There are also 4 races that pay even more than that to win. The series will give out nearly $1.5 million in just purse money alone during this upcoming season, and another $250,000 plus just to the top 10 in the series points at the end of the season. I've gone stretches on the show where I talk about the series and the racers, but it doesn't really move the needle in any way. My USMTS talk recently has just become more passing mentions and calling out the championship battle here and there. And I honestly wonder how many race fans even know who Jake O'Neill or Tanner Mullins or even series champions like Rodney Sanders or Derek Ramirez even are. The series does have a streaming deal, but not with one of the big players. Racing Dirt is a niche service with a modified focus, especially around the USMTS and USRA. They picked up some sprint car stuff this year with the demise of Racing Boys, which includes Terry Maddox and Kerry Gorby's URSS and OCRS series. But with the USMTS on Racing Dirt, if you want to watch, you'll have to come up with an additional few $100 a year on top of your Dirt Vision or Flow subscription. Certainly a tough ask for a lot of people. Outside of their streaming deal, though, and their own website, this racing basically gets no attention. Racing Dirt itself used to be a news site covering the action, but that side of things has gone away. And now the focus is 100% on the streaming, which isn't surprising because that's where the money is right now. I certainly can't blame anybody there. We're trying to run a business here. The lack of media is probably hurting this series as it is all of dirt racing. I'm not going to go too deep onto the media stuff. I think that's a conversation for another day. But in hearing all of this is big money, a sizable schedule, some entertaining characters like Joe Duvall, and a streaming deal on a smaller service enough to entice you into this type of racing. Modified racing in some form or fashion between Dirt Car, USRA, IMCA, WSOTA, and the various other bodies happens all over the country all the time. There's some big money shows here and there. There's some great racers. We talk about guys like Nick Hoffman and Mike McKinney and some of the guys I mentioned earlier. But amongst all that, the USMTS is the closest thing we have to Lucas or the World of Outlaws, but for modifieds. If you are interested, the season opens Friday and Saturday at Rocket Raceway Park in Texas, formerly known as 82 Speedway. Derek Ramirez is the defending series champion. Tonight is a practice night with full programs Friday and Saturday. USRA stock cars, limited mods, and factory stocks are also on the card both nights. So back to the original question, why does it seem like so few care about this racing? Drop me a comment, let me know your thoughts on the USMTS, the state of modified racing, and why you either care or don't care about modified racing. Moving on to some other topics today. We saw the debut of the Xtreme Outlaw Series at Volusia during Dirt Car Nationals, but that was just the sprint car side of the new non-wing series. We're still waiting for the debut of the midget side of things, and a release yesterday gave us some more clarity about the current roster of full-time drivers for the series. We already knew about the Chad Boat entries of Jade Avedijian, Dominic Gordon, and Jace Park. We also talked about Andrew Felker and Kyle Jones here on the show. According to the series, though, the list has swelled to 12 full-time drivers right now, with Rylan Gray, Kenan McIntosh, JJ Loss, Chase McDermott, Carter Sarf, Hayden Reinbold, and Brian Stanfield all signed up. Amongst the 12, we definitely have a wide mix of ages and experience coming into this first season. Of the new additions, though, only JJ Loss doesn't have any recent USAC midget starts. He's a young driver from California that has been running micros in the now 600 series and is making the leap to midget competition with Dave Mack Motorsports. He will be a teammate to Ken McIntosh. With still about a month left to go before the season opener at Farmer City, still plenty of time for more teams and drivers to declare with the series, and more are expected to sign up. So Casey Schumann continuing to be busy working the phones for the Xtreme Outlaw Series. I alluded a little bit to this last week, and it's something I get asked about pretty regularly, but Open Red is sort of back as a podcast starting this week. The guys over at World Racing Group debuted the new show yesterday, and it's got some new voices and a bit of a new format going forward. Show will cover all of the various types of racing under the WRG banner, and the hosts include Nick Graziano, Mike Warren, Chris Dolak, and James McMahon. They aren't ruling out having guests, but the shows going forward will feature more roundtable discussions of various racing topics. If you'd like to check out the new show, it's available at worldofoutlaws.com and in the Open Red and Stick Signals podcast feeds. If you're a Dirt Tracker Plus subscriber, I made a few updates to the dashboard last night. First, once you're logged in, I made it a little easier to navigate to the various series sections. You won't need the drop downs up top in the nav bar anymore. It should be a little easier on mobile as well. Also, I finally added in the Outlaws versus All-Stars difficulty numbers. I talked about this on an episode of The Daily late last year, trying to kind of find ways to quantify how much harder it is to race with the Outlaws versus the All-Stars. And those stats, along with the full driver index, are now available to see on the dashboard as well. I have plans of doing something similar with the Outlaws and Lucas on the late model side, so stay tuned for that in the future. If you aren't a subscriber, you can get access to added stats and analysis for all of the major dirt racing series for just $4.99 a month. Click the link below in the description or click plus in the nav bar at dirttracker.com. There are two shows on the streaming schedule today. Speed Sport TV has now 600 micros from Adobe Mountain Speedway, and there's Flow Racing 24/7. To see the full daily streaming schedule with links to watch, visit dirttracker.com/watch tonight. That's it for the show today. Hope you have a good Thursday. If you have thoughts about the topics on today's show, please leave them in the comments below or tweet at me. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow for more Dirt Tracker Daily.